All right. So this is chapter 23. Actually, I think this is the last chapter in this. We concluding this mysteries of the silent brotherhood of the East. So we're dealing with Yahshua received the news of his father's death, writes a letter to his mother. One day, as Yahshua stood beside the Ganges, busy with his work, the Ganges is just a river in Hindustan. A caravan returning from the west drew near. All right. And one approaching Yahshua said, "We come to you just from your native land and bring you welcome news. Your father is no more on earth. Your mother grieves, and none can comfort her. She wonders whether you are still alive or not. She longs to see you once again." And Yahshua bowed his head in silent thought. And then he wrote of what he wrote this in Psalm, quote, "My mother, the noblest of womankind, a man just from my native land has brought me the word. My mother, all is well for father, is well for you. His work in this round, in this earth round, is done. His work in this earth round is done, and it is nobly done. In all walks of life, men cannot charge him with deceit, honesty, dishonesty, nor wrong intent. Here in this round, he finished man heavy tasks, and he has gone hence prepared to solve the problems of the round of soul. For Allah is within him. There he has with him here. He was with him there as he was with him here. And there his angel guards his footsteps, lest he goes astray. Why should you weep? Tears cannot conquer grief. There is no power in grief to mend a broken heart. The plane of grief is idleness. The busy soul can never grieve. It has no time for grief. When grief comes trooping through the heart, just lose yourself. Plunge the deep into the ministry of love, and grief is not. Yours is a ministry of love, and all the world is calling out for love. Then let the past go with the past. Rise from cares of carnal things and give your life for those who live. And if you lose your life in serving life, you will be sure to find it in the morning sun, the evening dew, the songs of birds, and flowering, and in the stars of night. Right? In just a little while, our problems of earth round will be solved. And when your sums are all worked, it will be pleasure unallowed for you to enter wider fields of usefulness to solve greater problems of the soul. Strive then to be content, and I will come to you someday and bring you richer gifts of gold or precious stones. I'm sure that John will care for you, supplying all your needs, and I am with you always. Signed, Yahshua. And by the hands of one, a merchant going to Jerusalem, sent this letter on his way. So the principles, this is like the third chapter dealing with, the transition of someone, in this case, Yahshua's father, Joseph or Yosef, Yusef. And, he's letting his mother know that his work here is done and that he lived an honest life noble, fair life, and his name going to precede him, or his title, his nobility is going to precede him, right? His great works. And he's saying, why weep? Tears can't conquer grief. And in fact, he goes as far as to say it's selfish to not continue to deal with what you're dealing with. The people around you that's alive right now that are part of what you got going in life. Let that be motivation to keep going, right? Oh, and we have the aspect of John. John, he's going to care for you, right? Yahshua is transitioning, but John, he's going to care for you. Some may say, like, who's John? Who is this John? Right? So, just a little quick synopsis. Why did Jesus entrust Mary to the Apostle John instead of his brothers? Answer. When Jesus was on the cross, both the Apostle John and Mary, the mother of Jesus, stood by. And in John 19, verse 26 to 27, we read, quote, when Jesus saw his mother there and the disciple whom he loved standing nearby, he said to her, woman, here is your son. And to the disciple, here is your mother. From that time on, the disciple took her into his home. The clear understanding of the passage is that Jesus commanded John to care for Mary after his death. Mary was not certainly a widow at this point in her life, and also an older woman, I'm sorry. Though she had other sons, Jesus chose John to provide care for Mary after his death. Why? Jesus' brothers did not become believers until after his resurrection. Further, Jesus' brothers were not present at his crucifixion. Jesus was entrusting Mary to John, who was a believer and was present, rather than entrusting her to his brothers, who were not believers and who were not in the presence at his crucifixion. So just a little background, because of course it didn't elaborate. And if some doesn't know who John is, then you just like, who's this John? That just popped up out of nowhere, right? All right, so I want to open the floor. Any thoughts on that? Concluding chapter.
That page that you just read from, that's not like is it like a Moorish literature page or some like a Christian?
It was just a random, just a Google search, like just have info on there.
I didn't even know Jesus had brothers in the Bible.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, just what I mean, just to give a backdrop. But you might have it worded a little different if you look it up on another search engine. But essentially, now we know who John is in relationship to Yahshua. But yeah. Any other thoughts?
Islam.
Islam.
So when I was listening, the part, why should you weep? Tears cannot conquer grief. There's no power in grief to mend a broken heart. The plane of grief is idleness. The busy soul can never grieve. It has no time for grief. And then it says, when grief comes trooping through the heart, just lose yourself and plunge deep into the ministry of love. And grief is not. That one really called out to me, because I'm seeing there, like just from a personal experience, from self, it's almost like I've been wanting to grieve certain situations, like to have those tears and weep from them, but my body almost hasn't allowed me because I'm just so focused on staying in the love of the situation, in the light of the situation. So if anything is like a tear shed, it's more so a happiness and a giving thanks of the situation. Just like, his he was noble, so he's gonna live on forever. It's the eternal. So it really resonated with me.
Uh,
It's
Islam, yeah, that's a good one. It's always like lately what I've been trying to focus on when I feel grief is just acknowledging how beautiful it is that I even feel grief. Like like how it says, plunge yourself deep in the love. Because yeah, it's, you know, it might be unfortunate. Sometimes you're just making up scenarios in your head, like thinking too much into that person that much, that it brings sadness to just even think about it. So I just try to amplify the love more than anything. So I could definitely relate to that.
Islam.
Extracting the best out of the worst.
Sly. You got something?
Islam.
Sly, you got something to talk about?
Yes, I just want to comment on 15. I love that one. And if you lose your life in serving life. Oh wait, hold on, my phone's dying. In serving life. I don't know, because a lot of people will kind of like ask, like, are you scared to like, stand up and like be a more, or people are always kind of like just asking it, I guess, if we're afraid to kind of like, you know, stand up to the colonists or whatnot. And um it's just like this is our life. Hold on, my phone is dying. I'm walking now. But yeah, like and it's just like, well, if we're all gonna die anyways, in a sense, we want to make sure like we're serving life.
Right. Yeah.
In a sense of just, um doing it, you're standing up for yourself. And I don't know, it just kind of reminded me of just everybody um standing up for themselves and serving life. And just we'll go back to, like the morning sun, how it says, the evening dew, just to the world. But we'd rather go back to that than just die for nothing, in a sense.
Yeah.
I just had that little comment. I like that though. My apologies, my phone is
Yeah.
dying.
And to you know, the morning dew and that whole piece right there, it's like when you're in that vein, like the whole point was like you appreciate that, like, just seeing the sunrise or the morning dew, just waking up the next day in general, like when you're in that vein of you live to be a service, basically. It's a different type of love you have for life, to be in that mode. And then when you're in that mode, you're gonna be appreciating all the small things, the birds chirping, all that sounds beautiful to you, you know, all of a sudden, even more.
Islam.
It's fine.
Yeah, I feel all of that. I feel all of that, especially now that I got back into trucking. It's kind of sad, like eventually, I kind of want to wean off of it, but I had to pay the bills. But just seeing everybody kind of just living with anxiety and not really, a deeper purpose.
Yeah. Yeah, we got the gist of it. That was chopping you up,
Um,
yeah, they chopping you up real bad. I think it's the Wi-Fi.
feeding the machine, man. You already know.
Yeah. Yeah, they chopping you up, Brother Toledo. I had to go ahead and mute you because it was like it's off the grid or something. But
It's a lot better when you're doing things that fit well with the soul.
I don't know what's going on, man.
Islam.
Islam.
Yeah, I thought that was my connection, y'all.
Yeah, I was like, nah, it's definitely Brother Toledo.
That's what I need to get to.
Okay, like AD back now. But
Yes, well. Oh yeah, I don't have good signal here. Yeah, I was just saying, man, it's sad seeing people.
yeah, we got the gist of it though. But it was definitely chopping you up. Brother Newsy, you got anything? Okay. I guess I didn't really hear you, but I imagine you said no. I said,
Yeah, what's called? I really say the same thing that she was saying about the grieving. Like the whole, it's a waste of time. Like it's selfish to do so. Like I was really thinking the same thing. Like, we get caught up like that and ain't really doing nothing for us. There ain't no power in that. You feel me? You got to just move on. To be able to feel it is good. You know what I'm saying? But you gotta put a time limit on that. You gotta put your timer on it.
right. Slime. All right. I'm gonna transition to the next segment. Unless somebody had more thoughts that they wanted to talk about in this regard. All right. So we're gonna transition to where we left off. The context of this when we originally opened it up is the basis of ICE being unconstitutional. Then we transitioned to the 14th Amendment, and then the 14th Amendment was never ratified, so therefore it's not even legit in the first place. And this is not because I'm saying it's because Article 5 of the Constitution is saying it, and we'll take a look at it. And then after that, we'll go through some pretty much review, give or take, but just stuff to keep in the forefront of your mind, because the whole goal is you want to, once again, digest the information, get equipped, so you can let somebody else know and bring them to the fold, right? But you're going to be the measuring stick that they see in your general area or whatnot, or your friends, family, right? So you want to just, digest, process, and apply, right? All right, so let me move this my way, right? All right. So now, the reason why it applies to so-called Hispanics and Latinos, once again, I know it looks like it's just coming off out of a random topic, but the context in the last segment was dealing with ICE and deportation of our people for lack of knowledge of knowing rights of indigenous people, constitutional principles, et cetera, right? All right, so the reason it applies to so-called Hispanics and Latinos is because these terms apply to people without nationality. Those who are branded Hispanic and Latino are known in law as civiliter mortuus, the legal term meaning dead in the eyes of the law, or one who has lost all their civil rights. Not only this, but pursuant to res judicata, or thing decided, or thing adjudicated on. A legal phrase meaning a thing already decided or a decision of a judge, a person cannot be deported unless the government of that country, of the country in which they are to be deported, accepts them. So this is a key thing to have ingrained in your mind, is this is law. Okay, you're saying I'm being deported, but there has to be a receiving state to accept, right? And just knowledge of that is just, right, you're that much more competent. Now you know that, right? So let's go into why, our different case laws to support, right? This is also the understanding that fits with what we know about the view of the law outside of Congress. In an early decision by Judge Learned Hand, the Second Circuit squarely held that the pre-1996 designations of receiving countries were all subject to the country's acceptance, right? United States XREL, remember using XREL in this case, right? So we know that's a law term, X-relation, right? Dealing with a DBA, that's not you, but you have relationship to it just based on information because you created it. So United States, we can't talk, XREL, Tom Mann versus Murph, right? This is California Second Circuit. So when you see these abbreviations, CA2, just know that's California Second Circuit 1959 case. It was Second District, right? So you want to just, when you start seeing these numbers, it'll start sinking in more. You see this stuff, you can identify what things mean or whatnot. All right, so to remember, I opened it up by saying, they saying you deported, they got to be an acceptance state. Now we know a case law to support that fact, right? Other circuit opinions or circuit court opinions took the same position in Indica, e.g. Abdullah versus Cobb. The opinion, actually all these cases are related to that. Citing Tom Mann and describing the predecessor to section 1231, subsection B2 as, quote, providing that an alien cannot be deported to any country unless its government is willing to accept him into his territory, right? Internal quotation marks were added just for teaching purposes. Nor was the consensus or agreement confined to the courts. For the Board of Immigration Appeals read, the predecessor to subparagraph EI VI as having an acceptance requirement, right? So this is just res judicata to have downloaded. You never know what situation you may be in. And remember, mainly just to have this noted when you're talking friends, family on this issue of deportation. You want to not just be emotionally saying things. Everything's scholarship. Then you can point to case law, right? To prove your point. The language of that section expressly requires or has been construed to require that the government of a country selected under any of the three steps must indicate it's willing to accept a deported alien into its territory. And even within the government, this understanding seems to have survived right up to the time this case began to draw attention for the last year of Justice Department's Office of Legal Counsel rendered an opinion, albeit one not directly addressing 1231 subsection B2, stating that an acceptance requirement attaches to clauses I through VI. Memorandum opinion for the Deputy Attorney General, limitations on the detention authority of the immigration and naturalization. That's 14th Amendment. Naturalization is what the 14th Amendment is. And I started off by saying it was not ratified. Right? All right, so let's continue. In the instance where a person is held by ICE for any amount of time, a writ of habeas corpus should be filed with the courts pursuant to Article 1, Section 9, Clause 2, which states the privilege of writ of habeas corpus should not be suspended unless when case of rebellion or evasion to the public safety may require it. So just before I continue, the writ of habeas corpus is basically saying release the body based on constitutional principles were not violated, and they were violated based on somebody being arrested, and they didn't violate the Constitution, right? That's a violation of the Constitution in itself. So that would be the proper. So basically, in this case, ICE busting somebody's house, take them, right? Or attempts to do that. Knowledge of these things is not going to go too far in the tribunal. You know what I mean? Because for one, the receiving government has to accept. So these are protocols, you know, and then if the person's not saying that they're Black, Latino, Hispanic, because right, a lot of people that are getting deported is from where? The islands or South America or Mexico, right? So 9 times out of 10, our people are saying, oh, I'm Dominican or I'm Latino or Hispanic or whatnot. On top of the fact that they just don't know the law, right? So we can assist on getting fundamentals, you know, information to our people, right? That are always talking about ducking and dodging ICE. You know, they live a certain lifestyle to be low key and I mean, so, and they just need to know the rights to the land, right? The rights of indigenous people. The rights of indigenous people, right? All right. Continuing, the federal courts must intervene and honor the writ pursuant to the United States Supreme Court decision in Younger versus Harry, 1971 case, quote, when absolutely necessary for protection of constitutional rights. Courts of the United States have power to enjoin state officers from instituting criminal actions, right? Meaning cops can be arrested for breaking the law. And all their colorable stuff needs to have a common law exit. Like, so when you look through all their colorable laws, you're gonna see something that's gonna take you to a common law realm. And that's just based on studying. Like, you gotta, you know, find every municipality, no matter what corporate state, you look through their charter of their municipalities, and you're gonna see something. For example, we're dealing with the council notification and access manual. You're gonna look up for California, it's called 834C. That's their penal code, and it says all California institutions, rather state, federal, they gotta have laws that's in harmony with the Department of State Council Notification and Access Manual and dealing with foreign nationals. And we open up that's gonna take you to the door of Article 6, Clause 2 when you deal with that manual. So once you can slow walk them, because they just know penal code, penal code. So it's always something in their penal codes that's gonna take you to the realm that we want to be in, which is Constitution and treaty. You just gotta be diligent and find it, because it's there. All right, so let's go to where we at. Title 28, United States Code, Section 2255, Federal Custody, Remedies on Motion Attacking Sentence, subsection A. A prisoner in custody under sentence of a court established by act of Congress claiming the right to be released upon the ground that the sentence was imposed in violation of the Constitution or laws of the United States, or that the court was without jurisdiction to impose such sentence, or that the sentence was in excess of the maximum authorized by law, or is otherwise subject to collateral attack, may move the court which imposed the sentence to vacate, set aside, or correct the sentence. So this is lingo, you know. They're gonna call it a motion to vacate, but essentially you want to do a writ to vacate, a command to vacate, to correct, right? Correct their error in law, right? Based on the principle that you're gonna put in your writ that have been violated, right? Subsection E, an application for a writ, right? Writ, which is command in affidavit form of habeas corpus to release the body in behalf of a prisoner who is authorized to apply for relief by motion pursuant to this section shall not be entertained if it appears that the applicant has failed to apply for relief by motion to the court which sentenced him, or that such court has denied him relief unless it also appears that the remedy by motion is inadequate or ineffective to the test of legality of his detention. So basically, you need to put in the writ. You need to assert the right. And if they deny you, that's cool, whatever. But as you can see, once you start appealing, when they start looking at the transcript of the original court, they're gonna see like what things did you raise? Like what was your position? And that's the whole point of that consistency. Because most times people will be in court and they'll like be fumbling, and then they'll find out information later and they want to add it to the appeal. But if you can't bring up new grounds in the appeal. It got to be the same grounds you brought up initially. So that's the whole key. All right, so moving forward, also see 28 USC Code 2254 dealing with state custody and remedies in federal court. We commonly, connotatively, and erroneously use the adjective Black in regards to any dark-skinned person. Often, our people will force a false quote-unquote Black history on others, stating that all people come from quote-unquote Black people. As an example, many of our people insist that Haitians, Dominicans, Taínos, quote-unquote Puerto Ricans, and others come from quote-unquote Black people or the quote-unquote Black race. The intent behind the statement that they all stem from quote-unquote Black people is true, but the statement in itself is wrong. We are not Black, we are Moors. Those Dominicans, Haitians, Taínos, etc. do not come from quote-unquote Blacks, they are descendants of Moors, hence the Spanish word morena or moreno. The Moors of North America have been branded Black by European colonial occupiers of our land in order to strip us of our illustrious history. Our ancient Moabite, Canaanite, and Hittite bloodlines tie us to the ancient ones of Central America, or America, the Aztecs, Mexico, and even the Dogon of Mali and Tamaray, or Kibalan, Africa, etc. Our ancient ancestors are the possessors of the great ancient cities and kingdoms such as Sumer, Mare, Timbuktu, Carthage, Cordoba, Mauritania, North Africa, quote unquote, and Tamaray, Egypt, or Kemet, quote unquote. But Tamaray would be the ancient, more, you're speaking the most ancient terminology, Tamaray. And you can see the more in Tamaray, right? It's in there. Our disconnect from recognizing our ancient bloodline, nationality, and heritage is the very reason why the pale-skinned Black nations of Europe have been administrating the earth. All right. So as we can see, definitions. Of course, Black or more would still be colorable because it's not just more. But in any sense, this specific definition is going to say any dark-skinned person, right? Context. We'll transition to another definition coming from a Webster's Collegiate Dictionary, 11th edition, definition of more. We have to make fast with, or as if with cables, lines, and anchors, right? To anchor, to secure a boat by mooring, right? To be made fast. So the anchor to the ship, right? And then we have, in a noun, you have as capital, dealing with an inhabitant, or in Latin, Morus. Middle English is spelled M-O-R-E. But nonetheless, an inhabitant of Mauritania, 14th century context, that goes on to say one of the Arab and Berber conquerors of Spain. But we know when Moors went through there, it wasn't called Spain. It was called Al-Andalus. So once again, context, Berber. If you know about Barbary, then you would know that's what they're trying to, the Barbers, Barbary, distinguished from Tartary, which would be our cousins, you know, Genghis Khan and the crew, the Khanites over there, right? All right. So this is a definition of more from a Random House dictionary on the English language, unabridged dictionary, back to secure a ship, boat, etc. But when you go down to the noun, right, capital M, a Muslim of the mixed Berber and Arab people inhabiting capital NW Africa, right? Because Northwest, the reason there's such an emphasis, Northwest like that, right? Because that's North, Central, and South America, or North America, the extreme. Because when we're talking Africa, you're talking terra. When you go to ancient dictionaries and look up Africa, it's going to take you to terra. And terra just simply means land. So in that context, right, we're in Northwest Africa right now, right? North America. So that's the context. A member of this group that invaded and conquered, once again, they're still talking Spain in 8th century, but once again, there was nothing called Spain until 1490-ish. All right, this is just, once again, I have stuff downloaded. We're competent, we can relay these things, all right? Here we got the barber playing the kisser to the woman of the same tribe. Illustration of the Valley of the Nile in 1848. And we see how this is looking, right? All right. More definition before 1393 is once again M-O-R-E, right? Once again, an inhabitant of Mauritania, an ancient country in North Africa. We got that North African talk again. Don't let them fool you, think you're talking about over there. All right. From the Middle Ages through 1600s, Moors were commonly supposed to be black or very dark in color, right? So the reason you want to hit them with these definitions is to show you that we're dealing with nationality through scholarly definitions, scholarship definitions of ancient, dictionaries. And you want to have a multiple so you can kind of tell a story, right? And these visuals was key. Look at, that's a whole nother vibe right here. That's different right there, it's just different. Look at the more relaxing. You know what I mean? News of Sudan. It's 1855. To 1935, that's not too long ago. All right, definition of Moro. Right, let me see. All right, so Moros, still taking you back to what? The Moor. Latin Moris. So Moros are simply Moors. A member of any of several Muslim people of the southern Philippines, right? That covers that. Anybody saying they're Filipino? They're Moros. It's simple, right? Any of the Austronesian languages of the Moros, right? So there's simple definitions that can tell a story sometimes, When you have multiple dictionaries, you can just go through it like this. Moorish, right? We got more with the ish at the end, which now is of or pertaining to the Moors. So when you're saying Moorish, you covering all the Moors of the world. I'm Moorish because you got Moors everywhere, different clans and states. I'm repping them all. All right. More visuals. This is just repetition. Repetition, right? American. The reason you go to the old dictionary because you're gonna get that hyphen. You're gonna see that mer, which we know vowels are interchangeable. We're dealing with the Moor, right? Right? You already know dealing with the copper colored people, the Aboriginal people. Right? But the more important is like we get this. Most of us know about the ancient definition of American. Not dealing with Europeans, dealing with the people they found, right? But the thing is to highlight the grammar, the etymology, how the Moor is in American. That's why I highlighted Tamaray. Because it's in the language. At least that stands out to me. That's fascinating. Once again, repetition. Hit them with the definition. Be literal. Right? What is black? Right? To become pale. Let's keep it simple. Right? You know what I mean? Go through the right? We have examples. Right? So let's keep it real simple with the people. All right. Now the words of Mexim, Moor, Mur, like I just said, vowels are interchangeable because we're saying M-O-O-R, M-U-U-R. Vowels are interchangeable, A-E-I-O-U. Right? So it really could be M-R. That's because that's really what it is. In the oldest temples in the world, you're gonna say M-R on the pyramid, right? And it's the Moor. So don't let that fool you. And don't, because people may not have proper scholarship and they may put things out there in the public to say, oh, these are two different people, Moors, and we're really Moors. We're really not Moors. We're anciently, you know what I mean? Like as if that's two different things, like all that smoke screen type of thing. And it only works for people that are not grounded. So that's the whole key, is to get grounded so you don't get thrown off when you hear people speaking so eloquently. And that just, oh yeah, there's certain things you want to have a measuring stick on already. And Mur and Moor is not, there's nothing the same thing. American, Al-Moroccan, Olmec, Mare, Amir, right? Amir. That's Moor. You see the Moor and Amir, right? It's popping out now. And it means prince. Mexican, Maya, Mali, Ama, Cherokee word meaning water. Amoa Kush, Berber word for Morocco. Mauritania, right? An ancient name for Morocco. Like I say, Mauritania, Marrakesh, right? So where the Moors is at. Mauritania, the land of Mauritania is expressed, but remember, Mauritania is expressing the land of the Moors, Mauritania, right? Marrakesh, the rock place of the Moors. That's what Marrakesh is. Well, it's actually Morocco, actually. Morocco will be the rock place of the Moors. Marrakesh is, I can't think of it right now, but the land is named after the people. And keep in mind that we were nomadic, we traveled. So wherever the people are at, and we stationed and start setting up shop, that's what the name of the land is now. So keep in contact that changed the whole game as far as places being fixed, especially when you're talking ancient world. You know what I mean? You know, society was on wheels. So it ain't places that you think they are at, it wasn't really like that. Like these fixed geographical places. All right, so let me continue. Morocco, Mohawk, Muskegee, Tamaray, one of Egypt's ancient names, Mohegan, Sagamore, which is an American chief or a sheik or a sheikum, sage plus more. Share the same root word, mu, meaning water, mu. By no coincidence, Moors are known as seawater fretting people, right? Morocco is America, as the word America is a transliterated version of Al, which means descendants of, Moroccan, i.e. Moors, right? Al-Moroccan. In linguistic studies, one will surely find that all vowels are interchangeable, hence the following: Al-Moroccan and American, right? The purpose of branding us Negro, Black, Colored, Spanish, Indian, West Indian was by no mistake. It was in fact intended to denationalize us, thus making us, in law, non-descendable and unable to inherit our vast estate, as we are the true heirs of the present Moroccan Empire. The Moroccan Empire has been systematically divided and is now administered by Christian European powers, such as Spain, Britain, France, Germany, and the Union of Colonies, known as the United States. One of the last meetings that took place for the division of the Moroccan Empire was held in Berlin, known as the Berlin Conference of 1884 through 85. The denationalization process also disconnects us from our vast, illustrious history and places us in a wardship status, providing room for the Europeans to eschew our state. The name Dominican is derived from Saint Dominic, which is a Catholic order, a Roman Catholic order. The Order of Preachers, also known as the Dominican Order, is a Catholic religious order founded by the Spanish priest Dominic of Caluja in France, approved by Pope Honorius The third, via papal bull, religious sum vitam on the 22nd December of 1216. Members of that order are referred to as Dominicans. So Dominicans is a member of a Catholic order that was sent by the Pope to colonize the island of Haiti. And if they were successful, now everybody's mind frame, I'm Dominican now, right? Half the island identifies as Dominican Republic or Dominican, and then half the island identifies as Haitian. Ancient mind state, new mind state, right? Alrighty. Following the death of Dominic and the establishment of the Inquisition against the Moors in 1231, several members of the Dominican order became Inquisitions. The Inquisitions of Europe and North Archipelago, which was branded Africa, Morocco, Algiers, Tunis, Tripoli, etc., began to instruct their counterparts in America or West Morocco of the Encomienda system. Encomienda was a Spanish or Spaniard labor and caste system. It rewarded conquerors with papal sanction of forced servitude perpetuated against the conquered Moors. It was first established in Spain, then used during the Christian conquest of Moorish territories, i.e. through crusades. It was applied on a much larger scale during the Spanish Inquisition and colonization of the Americas and the Philippines or Moros. Conquered Moors were considered vassals of the Spanish monarch. They were even branded Spanish to remove them from their inheritance or heritability, which is why most Moors of South America refer to themselves as Spanish. The Christian crown awarded an encomienda as a grant to a particular individual who showed no remorse through their heinous acts of murdering innocent and the like, while of course giving thanks to the Pope and claiming to defend the faith of Christianity against infidels. Yet the promotion of the spread of dogmatic Christianity is in fact a diversion from the real objective, being political and administrative control over the planet. Following the conquering of the Aztec Empire and the fall of Montezuma, the Spaniards or Spanish conquistadors not only began to refer to themselves as Mexica or Aztecs or Mexicans, but began to brand the Aboriginal people, part of the empire, such as the people of Haiti or Haiti. Conquistadors is a term used to refer to the soldiers and explorers of the Spanish Empire or the Portuguese Empire in the general sense, and is derived from the word conquer, right? Conquistador, conquer. So, you know, they come and brand the people that are here, and after a couple of years, you know, the people that are originally from here, their children lose knowledge of that because they're colonized and now going to conquistador schools that have a curriculum that's designed to know your history in a certain way, that they give it to you. So, and they start calling themselves the people of the land. They switch, they do the musical chair thing. So that's all part of what you call their papal bull, or directives given from the Pope. All right, definition of conqueror. Now, quote, one who wins a country, subjugates a people, or defeats an adversary. From the Anglo-French conqueror, or Old French conqueror. From Old French conquérir, conqueror, defeat, vanquish. All right. So we'll actually stop right here, on page 17. So I want to open the floor for any thoughts, questions, any type of analysis on what we read here.
Islam.
Wow.
The whole interchangeable vowels. It's just like to see it directly in front of your face, you're able to see I think how the wool was pulled over everybody's eyes right in front of us when you break it down like that, the Al Moroccan American. And then how you can see like myrrh, more, just it's really coming full circle right now after all of this. So I give thanks.
Wow.
Islam.
Any other thoughts?
Yes.
Yeah, you breaking up real bad.
Am I still choppy?
Yep. Yeah, real bad. Yeah. Do you have any questions, Brother Newsy, while he's getting it together?
No, sir. I'm just soaking it all in, brother. I'm just soaking it all in, man.
Okay. Islam. And yeah. So if nobody have any other thoughts, I'll do just a quick summary and then we'll just call it a night. Let me check the chat. Somebody did. Okay. He's saying, Brother Toledo was saying he just wanted to emphasize on the whole Dominican thing, very similar to how the Philippines was renamed after King Philip, right? Yeah, exactly the same scenario. You being named after your oppressor, and most people today, when you tell them that, they're like, "Oh my God!" Every person I've talked to that was that they thought they was Filipino out here, that I let them know that information. They found it like, how'd you like? Wow, I didn't know that. How'd you know that? It makes sense though. Like, you know what I mean? Like when you start explaining it to them, it makes perfect sense. And then they start, because most people know about like the Sultan of Sulu out there. So when I start talking about that, and now the Sultan of Sulu was connected to the empire. It's like okay, yeah. The fact that you knew that much, you must be telling the truth. Like nobody's just gonna, you know what I mean? And it just, it creates a good space. So once again, we want to know all these things to come out of our people in a very intellectual way. So we need them. We need them, right? Okay, Brother Toledo is saying, sad how some will still defend their oppressors. It's hard for many to let go of old systems. We don't like to admit that we fell for the okie doke and that our whole lives revolve around a big lie. Yeah, that's what it is. Once you find out this truth, it's like a pride thing, especially if you done taught your children a certain way, and people will be like, they want to stay. Like I taught you this, I'm gonna stick with it. I don't care what happened, But that's pride and ego and low vibrational when you take all the layers off of that type of decision making, because the truth is the truth. For you not to want somebody to know the truth for vain reasons, it's like, so, but it is what it is, uh But yeah. I'll do one more round for any thoughts. If no other thoughts, I'll go ahead and close out and see everybody on Friday. I believe everybody, Brother Newsy, you said you got the book right in the mail?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you digest that and just get yourself ready for a presentation just to kind of roll it out in an organized manner. Based on what you digest, you can just be able to, come up with the general summary of what the book is, break down some bullet points, just come with a conclusion of, and just act like you're addressing people that don't know what you're talking about. Just act like we don't know nothing. Because the whole point is repetition for when you actually live talking to somebody else that really needs to know the info, you know what I mean? And it's a good way to see if you digested the info. So,
Right on.
so yeah, Islam. Well, everybody have a beautiful rest of their Wednesday. And check the chat one more time. Yeah, Islam to everybody. And yeah, Islam, Brother Toledo. And,
Islam.
Islam Noblos,
Islam. See everybody on the holy day.
Islam.
Islam Empress.
Empress.